Good morning, Knicks Nation. I hope you all are well. I hope you are COVID free. I hope 2021 is looking good for you. Double blessings to those that work in the healthcare field, to those that pick up garbage, and to those that deliver food to us on large trucks all over the country. So today I want to talk about the possibilities of Kevin Porter Jr. If you haven't heard, the Cleveland Cavaliers are going to release or trade Kevin Porter Jr. Because of it's a combination of things. Actually, it's there were some off the court issues that he had with a gun, and then recently it appears that he had an issue in the locker room, and he ended up throwing food out of frustration and anger, and so there seems to be an issue, and the Cavaliers decided to move on from Kevin Porter Jr. So let's talk about the possibilities of Kevin Porter Jr. and the Knicks. First off, there's obviously some issue. We are not privy to know exactly what the issue is, or what the depth of it is, or what the situation is. But for an NBA team, any NBA team, to draft a player in the first round, and Kevin Porter Jr. was drafted 30th overall, the last player picked in the first round, and invest that money into him to cut him loose, it's a red flag, obviously. So there's some issue. So first thing, we need to know what the issue is and if the Knicks are able to deal with that. But let's back up for a second and talk about him as a player first. Kevin Porter Jr. is a very talented individual basketball player. There's no question. 1 year at USC, he's from the Seattle, Washington area. He's dealt with some trauma. His father was murdered when he was 4 years old, and his mother raised him by herself. His father was murdered, actually, apparently shot 5 times while he was trying to help a friend of his who was being mugged or robbed. And so his father was trying to help, and his father was murdered in the process. Kevin Porter Jr. was raised by his mother, by herself. So that would have to have some effect on him, on anybody. But as a basketball player, he is extremely talented. He's a 2 guard. He's about 6'4", a little too short to be a 3, but he's definitely a 2. Offensively gifted, definitely NBA level gifted offensively. When he's on, there's almost nothing you could do. He's one of those type of players offensively. When he's on, there's nothing you could do. He's pretty much unstoppable when he's on, but he's got a lot of he's raw. He's very raw. So defensively, maturity wise, basketball maturity wise, defensively, those areas, he's got, like any young player. He's 20 years old. He got drafted when he was 19. And so he needs work. He's going to need development. Runs the floor, hops out the gym, skill level as far as shooting, basketball IQ, natural basketball IQ is good. He still needs to develop that, and defensively, he needs to, learn to put in the work on the defensive end. But he's not unlike any rookie that comes into the league. It's very rare when you get a rookie that's 19, 20 years old and comes into the league playing defense. That's very rare. And so that's not something you would expect that he's coming in like that. Unless there's an Isaac Okoro that specializes on defense. That's different. Or Frank Ntilikina that specializes in defense. That's different. But those are rare players. Most of the time, young talented players are offensively gifted, and they have to learn the defensive end of the floor, both the discipline, both the desire, both the effort, the consistent effort. All that has to be learned and developed in a young player. And Kevin Porter's junior is no different. So he's a very gifted, physically gifted. He's about 6'4", 200 pounds, quick, fast, athletic, everything you want. Eventually, if he gets right, he's gonna be a good two guard. If he gets right, he's a good two guard. Left-handed, like RJ, he's left-handed. So, if he gets right, he'd be a good two. In that scenario, you'd have RJ at the 3 and Kevin Porter at the 2 with IQ at the 1. That would be scary. If they were ready to play, that would be scary for most teams, right? So in that regard, it's somebody's going to take a chance on him just because of his talent. At age 20, somebody's going to take a chance on him. There's no question. He's going to get another chance in the NBA. He's, a young player that talented, unless he committed a murder or a rape, something felony like that. But if it's just, a character, if it's just emotional issue, somebody's going to take a chance on him. So if the Knicks were to take a chance on him, we'd have to handle him carefully. Because let's say he has some issues that have to be dealt with. You don't want to bring that into your locker room and mess up your locker room. Okay. It could contaminate your locker room. Now, because he's a kid, he's very young, it may not be as dangerous as if you have an older player, like a 25, 26, 27-year-old player that's got a bad attitude. That guy ain't changing, right? And you don't want that guy in your locker room. But this kid is 20. I hate to say it's almost like babysitting. He's a young boy. Okay. So he's going to need some guidance. So if I'm the Knicks and I'm willing to take a chance on Kevin Porter Jr., if I'm the Knicks, first thing you have to do is you have to sit down with him. You have to have him talk to some counseling and let's deal with the issues. Let's deal with the issues. Let's see if it's something we could deal with as a team. Okay. So I need to have a background check. I need to talk to him. I need to have some counselors talk to him and find out what we're dealing with. Okay. We want to set expectations with him. I would not bring him in this year expecting him to play a lot of minutes. I need to get his head right first. I need to get his head right. Maybe by the end of the season, but certainly not right now. Okay? Not right now. So I would bring that expectation on him. We're going to work with you. We're going to have, coaches working with you. We want you to get your life right. We want you to be solid in your life. And then we'll deal with the basketball. So it's got to be an investment. So you got to decide, if you're the Knicks, is this kid worth the investment? Talent-wise, I think he is. There's no question. But emotional-wise, you got to make that decision. So now, I would bring him in. I would set the expectation. You're not going to play a lot this year. Maybe the end of the year, you'll get some time. But right now, we're just working on your head, working on making sure, you're right. And then, when we feel comfortable and you feel comfortable, we'll put you out there. I'd have him working very closely with Mike Woodson. This is why we got staff, y'all. We got a good staff. So Mike Woodson has dealt with people and we all know about J.R. Smith, but he's dealt with kids like this before. So I would make sure he's working very closely with Mike Woodson. Okay. And Johnny Bryant. I would make sure that a veteran takes him under his wing. A Taj Gibson. The kids on our team already are really nice kids. I mean, from what I can see, they get along very well with each other. They're very supportive of each other. So, I think that would be cool. But I would really want a Taj Gibson and Mike Woodson to guide this kid. And you have to keep constant communication with him. From what I saw, one of the issues that came up that I saw was he came into the locker, this last incident, he came into the locker room and found out that they gave Taurean Prince his locker and didn't tell him, just moved his locker. And him already having these other issues and him already being a kid, that was bad communication. Somebody should have sat down with him and said, "This is what we're doing, Kevin. This is how we're rolling." And we should have been a little bit more upfront with him. It sounds to me that he was reacting because he had not been told, and these things were just being done. And that's a frustrating feeling for anybody. But 20 years old, you walk into the locker room, you're dealing with some stuff, you think the team's got your back, and all of a sudden your locker has changed. That's not cool. So I'm not blaming the team, but I'm saying there should have been more communication with the boy. So it's important if the Knicks get him, Woodson, Taj, we have to be in constant communication with this kid. Okay? Then I would say you give him an off season with the whole, with the staff, with Kenny Payne, Johnny Bryant, with Tibbs. Give him an off season. And of course, you have to let him know what Tibbs' expectations are. And I think this is the best shot. I can't guarantee that he's going to respond well to what I'm just saying here. But if he does, we got a stud here. If he does, his talent is top 10 level. I mean, coming out of the draft, he came out of the 2019 draft. His talent is top 10 level, man. He got drafted 30 because of the possible attitude issues, emotional issues that he deal with. But his talent level is top 10. So I think it's a low cost, low risk chance that the Knicks would be taking for a very high upside. Because if he's agreeable to that, you're not going to play much this year. We want you to learn Tibbs' system, what he needs expectation-wise. Once you get your head together off court, we're going to have people working with you. Maybe the end of the season, you'll get some time. And then work with our guys off season so you come in fresh next year. If he's willing to accept that and work with that, this kid could be something else, man. Like I said, you put him between RJ and IQ, man, you gonna have something right there. So, that's what I'm thinking about Kevin Porter Jr. I would take a chance on him under those circumstances. If he wasn't willing to work with us on that, then we can't help him. But if he's willing to work with us on that, I would definitely take a chance. Somebody's going to take a chance on him. He's going to play somewhere. He is. It's just that if it's the right system, if it's the right situation, if it's good communication with him, then, it could or could not work out. Now, the difference between a team like a Miami and a San Antonio and other teams is, like, for example, we have to remember, in this scenario, and a lot of others like him, he gets drafted at 19 and he's 20. He's playing in a grown man's league, but he is not a grown man. Okay? And while you want to respect him as a young man, you have to understand you're dealing with somebody that just come out of their teens. And so you really want to handle him differently. And speaking of this, when they start allowing high school players to get drafted in the NBA, you're going to see a lot of problems like this. You're going to see a lot of these issues. Just because a guy could jump 48 inches, and shoot from 3, doesn't mean he's going to play. Because there's a lot has to go on in here. And when they kids, it's different. They had high school players coming in the 90s for a minute. And we had a lot of players that were NBA level talents wash out. Because they weren't mentally ready. Because they're kids. But now it's a little different because some teams, like I said, like the Miami, San Antonio's, and hopefully now the New York, understand what you're dealing with when you're dealing with a kid like that. They understand it's going to take some time. See, when you NBA 2K millennial, you're just looking at his physical thing and think you could throw him out there and he's going to do the X, Y, and Z. It don't work like that in real life. There's a lot of maturity that has to happen. There's a lot of development in the mental state, aside from the physical development that has to happen. Okay? And sometimes it's actually harder. It's better sometimes to get a kid that's coming out that's age 21, like Quickly's 21. They're more mature. They're established. They're established what kind of person they are. You can see it. But you're getting a kid that's 19, 18, that's a world of difference. Okay? And you're going to see a lot of that in the next few years. You're going to see a lot of that. You're going to see a lot of busts. People with all world talent that just don't make it. You're going to see a lot of that, unfortunately. For every LeBron, there's 10 other ones that's 18 that don't make it. That's talented that don't make it. So, and then, we all, if you've been around a minute, you all of us got people that we know that we grew up with, especially if you're in New York, that are all world talent, and they still out there doing whatever they're doing. They're not playing ball. They never did play ball. Okay. But they were unbelievable talents. There's a lot of people like that. And a lot of it is a maturity level and a preparedness, for coming in. Now, like I said, today, a lot of teams understand this. Some teams still don't. I think Cleveland messed up. Myself. I think they did. But we're going to see. You're going to see. Because he's going to play somewhere. He is. He's too much talent. He's going to play somewhere. Basketball is entertainment. Okay? Athletic gift and ability entertains people. This kid has it. Okay? So he's going to play somewhere. For how long he lasts, how they handle him, I don't know. But I would take a chance on him if I'm the Knicks. I would take a chance on him. I would try to develop him. I would set the expectations. I would see if he has the willingness to sacrifice, to become a better person and a basketball player. But I would give him that chance. Now I would see. It's a low risk opportunity. He's getting paid like 1.7, something like that. That's like almost minimum salary. Okay. So it's worth it. So if I'm the Knicks, I'm going to look into Kevin Porter Jr. and see what happens. Okay, that's the video for today. So tomorrow, today's Wednesday, the 20th of January 2021. Tomorrow, tomorrow night late, our Knicks are playing Golden State Warriors. Just real quick, this is going to be a difficult game. I'm going to tell you right now. See, normally, we're in January. We're in late January now. So normally, in a normal season, this time of year is where the real teams start to separate themselves from the pretenders. Like lots of times, teams bust out early in the season and look like they're going to be surprise teams, and then they fade away later, right? They start to fade away later as their lack of depth, lack of experience, lack of talent or whatever it be starts to show up. And the real dogs start to come out this time of year. Now, this is not a normal year, but I think you're already seeing that. Like, for example, the Brooklyn Nets, started off 2-4, but now they've won 4 straight. Okay. The Utah Jazz started off 2-2 and they won 6 straight. The Clippers started off 3-3 and they won 4 straight. They starting to hit their stride now. Memphis has won 5 straight. The teams that are good are starting to show up, are starting to show themselves for what they are. See? And so we're running into the Golden State Warriors. They just won 1. The last 10, they're 6-4, but they just beat the Lakers. They just beat a full strength Lakers squad. Okay. And so they're starting to come into their groove right now. Stephen Curry and them are starting to play. So, Stephen Curry and actually, Curry, Pascal, Draymond Green, they actually did play Wiseman, but the thing about Wiseman is he's got the Mitchell Robinson early problem where he's fouling a lot, jumping a lot, fouling a lot. But they starting him. He wasn't much of a factor in the Laker win, which tells you something. He's not even ready to play really yet. And they're still, winning against the Lakers. So, when he is ready to play, then it's going to be something else than the Golden State Warriors. So, and of course, Stephen Curry's playing out of his mind. And then you got, they got a good supporting cast, and Andrew Wiggins is playing well, and Kelly Oubre is playing well. So, this is going to be a tough one, y'all. This is going to be a tough one. Okay. If we can win this one, it's big. See? So the Knicks have to be ready to play. We have to come out ready to play. The defense has got to be on point. We got to be ready to out-rebound them and guard them like they ain't been guarded yet. Because the Knicks are the number 1 defensive team in the NBA, or one, in several categories. So we got to be ready to put that on them. I wish we had our full contingent. I'm thinking Alec Burke might be back, which is going to be good. I don't think Frank is going to be back. It would be good to have him out there against Stephen Curry. But we got to go with the soldiers we got. And we gotta be ready. This is gonna be a tough game. I don't want anybody to think we could easily beat the Warriors, even though they don't have not Draymond Green. They don't have Klay Thompson right now. They are still a very dangerous team, and they are on an uptick. Okay, so it's gonna be a good game. I'm gonna stay up late to try to watch it. It's past my bedtime, but I'm gonna stay up late to try to watch that game. And hey, let's hope we get this W. Shalom.